He has led Kenya's economy through some of its very consequential reforms. If you ask the guy on the street about this Prime Cabinet Secretary, they'll say, ah, yes, he's the one who did away with all of those trade barriers and made Kenya the free economy that it is today. But the part that you need to know is that this is also a Prime Cabinet Secretary that knows WFP. He knows what we do, and he knows the good, the bad, and the ugly of what we have done for the past 30 years in this country. Often when I meet with him, he asks, how much have you procured from local farmers, and can you break it down by maize and beans? So I always try and have those figures at my fingertips. He knows whether refugees are receiving full rations in the 2 refugee camps of Dadaab and Kakuma. And I'm expecting the next question to be how we plan to prepare and respond to El Nino. He's gotten to know us, and his expectations are high. He takes us with high regard, but he also expects high performance from WFP. He last joined us in Mombasa. I think it was the beginning of July. I had taken the country's strategic plan to our board in Rome, gotten it approved in the final days, and then we had a big meeting in Mombasa and shared with the government exactly our plan of where we were going. And he came and joined us and was our keynote speaker for that event. So I would just like to say thanks. Thanks for his willingness to share his time, his insights, and his wisdom, to add to our deliberations, to enrich our perspectives, and to give us a deeper understanding, probably not only of Kenya, but also of Africa. So we, in advance, sincerely thank His Excellency for being with us today and for lending his voice to this global meeting. And now, again, can I ask you to please stand one more time to welcome the remarks of His Excellency. Thank you.
Please be seated. Now, I don't know what to say because Madame Lauren has, would I say, employed some warfare. They call them preemptive strikes. But thank you for the kind words that you have expressed. The leadership of the World Food Programme present here this afternoon, I would like to start by just extending my apology. I should have been with you earlier in the morning. But when the President got back, he had this very critical program of supporting 100,000 community workers in all our 47 counties. And it was a big occasion because we want the team to be on the front line, and the support for the universal health care, to have these community health workers working with our populace across the country and making sure that they can help in mitigating some of the challenges under the health sector at the earliest possible before it becomes blown out into some serious disease or epidemic. So please accept my apologies, but I hope I've not dampened your spirits whatsoever. esteemed colleagues from around the world, and I'm using that word because you're finance people, Kenyan government officials and WFP partners present, let me say that it is indeed an honor to address this gathering of 130 eminent finance leaders from 89 World Food Programme country offices around the world. I extend my heartfelt gratitude to the WFP for the gracious invitation to open this forum. I also have my singular privilege to welcome you to Kenya for this global finance meeting. You have done us proud as a country in choosing to congregate in Nairobi. Feel free to enjoy the joy of Magic Kenya, Sava being in the only city in the world with a wildlife park that is not far from here. And I've just been told that this is a gathering that is taking place after about 8 years because of so many other things. So really it's a big milestone. So karibu sana. You are gathered here from 89 different nationalities. Your presence reinforces our position as a hub for international dialogue and cooperation. This meeting is a proof of the strong continuing partnership between the WFP and the Kenyan government. Allow me to say, therefore, that we are proud as a people, a government, and a city to be part of a leadership that is addressing global challenges. I share with you the sensation on the importance of this global finance meeting in the context of our current global challenges. Your invite has put me to test to share some of the following. First, reflections on how strategic alliance between the WFP and host governments can support achieving global food security objectives. Secondly, insights on WFP and Government of Kenya relationship in advancing food security. Thirdly, thoughts on how WFP can utilize its finance to serve a deserving world better. In the next few paragraphs, I will respond, but not in any particular order. The intricacies of global contests brought about by climate change and economic disruptions should give organizations like WFP the motivation and courage to lead from the front, not just as responders, but as drivers of the change the world needs. Save us from the international bureaucratic lethargy that has increased market volatility. We all know that conflict, economic shocks, climate extremes, and soaring fertilizer and fuel prices are combining to create a food crisis of unprecedented proportions. Stand tall and give the world some respite from unproductive contests, be they war or climate change truancy. FAO statistics show that about 29.6 or 2.4 billion people from the estimated 8.1 billion world population are moderately or severely food insecure in 2022. Actually, that 1 billion people live in extreme poverty of under $1.25 a day. Further, of these 2.4 billion, about 11.3% or 900 million people in the world were severely food insecure. Now, worldwide, food insecurity disproportionately affects women and people living in rural areas. Contrast this with hunger facts all over or here. 60 16.6% of the world's population is undernourished. Hunger is the cause of 45% of all children's deaths, and more than 99 million children under the age of 5 are still undernourished and underweight. To the WFP fraternity, I applaud. Sorry. Just a slight mix-up. Sorry, let me just put it this way. I would like to point out that, and where we do find these malnourished people, it is in low and middle income countries, Sub-Saharan Africa, Latin America, the Caribbean, and South Asia, in that order, have the highest prevalence of severe food insecurity. Yourselves, the WFP, estimate that from 79 of the countries where you work, more than 345 million people have faced high levels of food insecurity this year. That is more than double the number in 2020. This constitutes a staggering rise of 200 million people compared to pre-COVID-19 pandemic levels. Let's break it down further and humanize the data. Children with unemployed parents, disabled adults, and single mother households have higher rates of food insecurity. Obviously, stabilizing interventions like food relief are important. But the data is actually telling governments to create more employment opportunities for the people. However, conflict, international climate shocks, and climate change are raining havoc on the ability of Africa to mitigate food insecurity through economic growth and therefore job creation. This means the WFP government and government partnerships should now focus on building resilient communities as a long-term solution to perennial food insecurity. Here in the Horn of Africa, there is no year or season in which the whole region receives normal rainfall and is free from climatic anomalies, such as flood or drought. We are just emerging from the worst drought in 40 years. We are expecting El Nino after a dry spell. Our crops are hardly off the farm. As it pours, we don't have enough cereal dryers to go around and save on post-harvest losses. Meanwhile, we must prepare for floods. Infrastructure will be destroyed, as we have seen sadly in Libya. By now, you must have realized I am deliberately mapping the scenarios in response to a request for thoughts on how WFP can utilize its finance to serve a deserving world better. Kenya and the WFP have shared a productive partnership for over 40 years. Together, we have addressed challenges ranging from floods and droughts to the impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic. Recently, the WFP provided resources in support of 1.2 million Kenyans during Kenya's most severe drought in the past 40 years. It was really bad, but we thank you for your support. Our cooperation has seen successes in various other areas. We worked together on the school meals program until Kenya graduated out of it in 2018. Another significant initiative has been the cash-based transfer programs that offers vulnerable households and relief to cater to specific food and nutritional needs. Currently, the partnership is looking at increasing resilience against climate change, reimagining school meals to climate-related strategies, and exploring innovative financing methods to access needed investments for Kenya. On behalf of the Government of Kenya, I wish to express our gratitude for this consistent partnership with WFP and assure the country office and the whole WFP of our full support. Indeed, we are grateful that Kenya is now a member of the WFP Executive Board. This is not just a privilege, but a responsibility we take seriously. Kenya is uniquely positioned to amplify the collective voice of nations that benefit from the invaluable support of the WFP. We intend to leverage this role to support WFP's leadership in advocacy at global forums, ensuring that food security remains a top priority on the international agenda. Moreover, given our experience and understanding of the challenges many countries face, we will be active and collaboratively and constructively contribute to international policy formulation and strategic direction that will lead to upholding and advancing of WFP's mission and objectives. Let me say something about the freedom in international food chains relations. In the face of climate change, we call upon the world community to rethink the definition of global food security for regions like the Horn of Africa, which is perennially in the throes of recurrent droughts, pest infestations, and inconsistent rainfall patterns. These plagues not only place substantial pressure on food production, affecting the livelihoods of millions dependent on farming, but fundamentally distorts planned economic growth paths of affected countries. Indeed, for countries like Kenya, achieving food security is not merely about increasing food production. And while we know our multifaceted approach to investment in modern farming technologies, robust supply chains, resilient agricultural practices, and targeted policy interventions will bring relief, we also know that without a stable international economic order, our strategy will falter. Furthermore, though finance plays a pivotal role in mobilizing funds for investment in agriculture to ensure farmers have access to the necessary tools and seeds and knowledge to increase their yield, changing world food chains continue to inhibit food security. And for us, it is not about large-scale food production, as may be found elsewhere, but more about empowering the small-scale farmers who produce the bulk of our food. Therefore, an enhanced supply chain from storage facilities to efficient transport systems that ensure food reaches markets while still fresh and nutritious and reducing post-harvest losses is the antidote for local food insecurity. In addition to these policy interventions are also crucial. However, for policies that favor sustainable agricultural practices to succeed, we call for a reduction in the international cost of exchange and greater participation of friendlier private sector participants in the food systems. Still on the international scene, in the face of the persistent global challenges, the solution lies not just in resource allocation, but in resource integration. The path forward must be co-forged seamlessly, blending local knowledge with international expertise. It is not about transplanting solutions from one part of the world to another, but co-designing initiatives tailored to specific needs and strengths of a partner. Our local farmers, with generations of knowledge, bring to the table an understanding that's deeply rooted in the land they till. When this is complemented by the technological and research-backed insights from international partners, we harness the power of synergy. What would be the facilitating role of WFP? WFP sits at a unique position globally to set the pace in these matters. You understand the global vulnerabilities possibly better than any other organization. Looking at finance for food as a theme, the WFP sits at a unique intersection of finance and food systems. You understand the grave repercussions of underinvestment in our food architecture. The cost is, unfortunately, measured in lives lost. From this vantage point, the WFP should become a vocal advocate, stressing upon the global financial systems the imperatives of investing in what supports our very existence. It's more than just funds. It's about directing those funds to strengthen the roots of our local food systems. The unique strength that WFP as an organization has, which I personally emphasize, is on the supply chain. WFP's expansive experience and intricate networks position it perfectly to guide nations in building resilient and efficient supply chains. This isn't just about moving produce from point A to B. It's about establishment of the state-of-the-art storage facilities and improving transportation networks that ensure produce remains fresh, losses are minimized, and the markets are readily accessible. On markets, WFP should aid in unblocking constraints in the international food chain system on movement of food from food surplus to food deficient countries and at an affordable price. This will be a WFP pivotal role of ensuring that every plate across the globe has some food and at the right time. Let me touch briefly on climate change again. Climate change is an overarching shadow against attaining food security. The worsening situation of climate change is worsening the vulnerabilities of our food systems like never before. We therefore emphasize the pressing need for climate finance for investment in climate-resilient food systems. Acceptance that though the specter of climate change is universal, but its repercussions are felt most severely in regions like ours, and we must be supported by compensation. On this, Kenya has been a proactive agent of change, leading from the front in rallying the African voice. But we are not begging. Our fate is tied to commitments that we hope will be honored. Our continent, rich in diversity and spirit, has long held a shared perspective on the climate crisis. The recently concluded Africa Climate Summit, which Her Excellency has just referred to, here in Nairobi, was a testament of this unity. The Nairobi Declaration is not just a symbol of our collective resolve and vision for a sustainable future, but an affirmation that we deserve better for our pains in sheltering humanity. We need the Nairobi Declaration amplified for its echoes to resonate and influence the next course of universal action on climate change. This is why we turn to our trusted partners, like the WFP. You have worked with us, understood the intricacies of our challenges, and have been integral to our journey. It is time to raise our voices together to ensure that the Nairobi Declaration is not just heard, but acted upon. Again, our collective future hinges on our ability to convert commitments into actions. And Kenya stands ready, with partners by our side to lead this charge. Meanwhile, as we acknowledge the opportunities and challenges that lie ahead, I remain deeply inspired by our progress and optimistic about our shared future. Through innovation, collaboration, and strategic alignments, we are not just envisioning, but actively forging a path towards a world free from hunger. As finance professionals in WFP, ensure every dollar, every cent, and resource is channeled effectively and efficiently to make the greatest impact a world without hunger. Together, let us strive to reduce the effects of hunger and achieve a world where no child goes to bed hungry, where every farmer reaps the fruits of their labor, and where sustainable food systems are not just an ideal, but a lived reality. I urge you to remember the faces behind the numbers. Every statistic you work with represents a life, a dream, a family, a living entity. Let that be your guiding light as you navigate the complex world of humanitarian finance. The people of Kenya are indeed the world, are counting on your expertise, your dedication, and your compassion. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my pleasure to declare the WFP Global Financing Meeting opened and the WFP Finance Strategy for 2027, running through to 2027, officially launched. Asanteni sana, and God bless you all.
I think that would be too much honor, sir. Excellency, that would indeed be too much honor for me. We are already honored by your presence here today. And if I can just, on behalf of the team, express our gratitude for your presence, for your personal engagement, and the government of Kenya's support to the World Food Programme. Your intervention was very powerful. You've said a lot that I would not pretend to pick certain parts, because all of it was important. But at the end you said we should remember the faces behind the numbers. And I'm a finance person, trained as a finance person, but it's very good for us to be here, to remember that collectively as finance professionals across the globe. Many of you work directly with our beneficiaries. I do not have that honor every day, but I'm pleased to be here in your nation's capital. Even before, of course, your very successful climate summit, we had decided to come here for our global finance meeting. It was a quite relatively obvious and easy choice for us because, of course, the importance to the UN system of Nairobi, the UN system agencies present here today, here in the city, the Regional Bureau for East Africa, the country program led by Lauren, and the support offices for operations like Sudan and Somalia. But also importantly, as both of you have touched upon, financial technology. It's an important hub. Financial innovation, financial inclusion. So these are all topics that we will cover this week in our agenda, and your powerful intervention has focused us for the rest of the week. Congratulations on the successful climate finance climate summit and the recognition of the work of WFP in general, but also for pointing out the challenges and opportunities that we have and that we must face together as stakeholders in this international system, including the international financial institutions that hopefully we'll interact with as well during the course of this week. Let me thank you with a small symbolic gift that I think will come this way shortly. As you know, WFP was tremendously honored at the height of COVID. Thank you, sir. At the height of COVID to be awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 2020. We're not able to do our work in food security for the people that we serve, the subset of the 345 million people that you mentioned. We reached about 158 million people last year. We can only do that with our partners. And the partnership with the government of Kenya has been tremendous for us, as you mentioned, for 40 years. So we would like to hand over to you a small gift of appreciation. I don't know how paperless your office is, but we have a paperweight in the symbol of the Nobel Peace Prize. Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for joining us today, for opening our forum officially, for recognizing the work that we do as, for the Finance Strategy 2027. There's a lot for us to achieve, but you've thrown us the opportunities and the challenges, and we'll get cracking and work hard to make sure we continue to support your government, your communities in this country and all the countries across the globe. Thank you so much.
Thank you. If we can please request for an official photo with all three together, that would be fantastic. And if we can show our appreciation once more. We know you have a very busy schedule, and we appreciate you being here today with us. So camera crew, thank you very much. I think everyone can take their photo as well with their own phone. Selfie? Is that allowed? Excellent. I think we got the picture. Thank you very much for being here today, Your Excellency, and all the best. Thank you very much. Thank you.